Hello, everybody. Welcome to the United Front. This is your match reaction for West Ham. United against West Ham. But also transfer news. SESKO preferring United over Newcastle, and Anthony bid from Saudi. We'll talk about the news there. But obviously, let's get straight into the match reaction. Obviously, first and foremost, I also want to congratulate England women's team winning the Euros once again, retaining that. It's never retaining. It's never easy to retain something that you've won, whether it's football, basketball, cricket, whatever sport you watch, and it just shows what type of team you are, and the mentality you have to keep on winning trophies. So respect to the women's team. I'm pretty sure the men's could obviously learn from them. And look, I know people are gonna say, well, women's are easy, when clearly it's not, because they were technically facing world champion Spain, and they've got brilliant players. If not, I think probably you could say better players than England. Probably one and two. Obviously, ones that stand out is obviously Motm, two-time Ballon d'Or winner. It was never an easy task for England. So, but obviously to retain that trophy and become European champions, it's amazing. So happy for England, and great for women's football as well. So yeah. Anyway, back to obviously Manchester United play West Ham. It's so annoying. Now you know what it's like to obviously stay up till 12 a.m. because that's what time kicked off. Even just imagine when obviously the season kicks off. What time would it be when we'll play Arsenal 4-5? Probably 12 o'clock there. So obviously, it's nice to see. Obviously, not nice, but you know what? Just imagine knowing Man United from last season being absolute shite, and waking up 12 a.m. knowing you might lose, but since you love United so much, you wake up 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 12, whatever time you'd watch the match at, and you just see United lose, and you just kind of feel like it's just a waste of time. So but United won 2-1, and apparently they broke the attendance was more than the Club World Cup championship between Chelsea and PSG. So and I know obviously people are gonna say, well, when you're big, you're big. Obviously it's good, because obviously Manchester United does have a higher fan base in the States as well. So but anyway, into the reaction. Obviously we won. I felt like it was better than the dog shit we were seeing against Leeds. But obviously disappointment, no Mboma playing. Apparently Amrin said he's not ready. He's not going to play against Bournemouth. So pretty sure if you guys know and heard the story, but yet still watching the game against Bournemouth, fair enough, because I'm pretty sure people would stay up to watch that game only to see Mboma play. But he'll be playing against Everton, and then obviously more likely playing against Fiorentina. So but 2-1. Initially, it was better than what we saw at Leeds once again. I could go through every player. I wish I had the stats on me talking about player ratings, but I really don't do player ratings when it comes to preseason, because it is preseason. It was just, better performance obviously from Leeds, but still, I felt like there was balance, obviously, between Mane and Ugarte in midfield. I feel like that is our best midfield. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, you know, and then the question is, seeing that midfield between them two, where does that put Bruno? I mean, look, Bruno looked great in the 10. You know, I say great, but I'll talk about his performances. He felt suited to that. I don't like him being in the 8 because he's not a proper 8. You know, Cunha and him working together, not obviously you know, playing in different positions. Højlund looked great. I know his critics are gonna come and say, well, he didn't do anything. Look, the thing with Højlund is that, look, obviously he had an early chance. Look, obviously you could say if he had more bend around it and obviously put it on target, then I would have gone in. But look, obviously he's unlucky, great chance. But with Højlund, I mean, look. What I like from Højlund is his all-round package. The way he presses the defense, the way he works hard off the ball, the way he tries protecting the ball, tries taking on players. That's what I like from him. Whereas him trying to be clinical, I mean, I don't know what happened to that Højlund because, you know, if you took 2 seasons ago, Højlund would have finished those chances. But, I mean, again, it's about pre-season, about getting him into confidence. And obviously, look, his passing needs to work on. But apart from that, I was really happy from Højlund. Look, obviously, look, there's obviously some people who support United give good ratings on strikers if they score a goal or assist. Otherwise, if they don't do either of them, they get a lower score. But it's like with Mbappe. If he doesn't score an assist, yeah, you'd give him a lower rating. But if you actually watched the game and you knew how good he played, you wouldn't give him a low score. Now, I'm not saying he's Mbappe, but seeing how Højlund play, I'd probably give him, what, a 6.5, 7? Look, probably an 8 if he'd scored, but of course he didn't. But look, he's improving, you know. This is the thing as well. What he did as an all-round package that he has, pressing defense, working on the ball, shielding the ball, that's what I wanted from Rashford. I had no problem with Rashford whatsoever. You know, we know he can go, he can score, he can get assists when he can, you know, and he's a threat. The only problem with Rashford was attitude and work ethic. That's it. That was about it. You know, there were times when we were playing further back at the time and with wingers, he wasn't tracking back. Now, Amrin wasn't going to take none of that nonsense. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't going to take none of that nonsense with Garnacho. And look, you can have talent, but talent is nothing without hard work. And there is talent in Højlund, but what makes him more potentially better than what he can be is his hard work. And that's what I really rate about Højlund. His hard work, his passion, and obviously he's always talked about a dream for him playing for United. That's what you want. That's why I like Højlund, because you kind of see him and you kind of feel like, you know what, he is great for Manchester United in a way that he's ready to fight for the match. There's no doubt about it. You know, you can even ask his haters, yeah, that he does fight for the match. The only problem is he doesn't score, and his hold up play, which is obviously his weakness. So, you know, I mean, look, I feel like he had a great game. He had a decent game. You know, I'd say great if he'd scored, but I felt like he had a good performance in a way that, you know, him working off the ball and whatever. But obviously, some people rate strikers in terms of goals. That's not me. You know, if he did that against Arsenal and wherever the scoreline would be, I'd still give him, you know, a 6.5 or whatever because of what he does. You know, it's not always about goals and assists from strikers. It's about, you know, hard work and how they play off the ball as well. So that's what I like from Højlund. But I mean, Ugarte, I mean, again, we always talk about haters, but I mean, the amount of haters that he gets it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. I mean, it was a mistake with him not being in the final. Like I said it again, Ugarte Menu fits well instead of Bruno Casemiro or Bruno Ugarte or Bruno Menu. That's our best midfield pivot. And look, this is what I like from Ugarte. Again, hard work. And not only that, because people say, oh, there's a reason why PSG sold him. Is because he's a proper number 6, where he's a ball-winning midfielder, aggressive and all that. He's not fancy on the ball, great passing movement. But United want that. That's what you want from a double pivot. Relentless, hard-working, aggressive, and winning the ball back. That's what you want from United. That's what you want from a number 6. And that's why I like Ugarte. But the over-hate is crazy. I mean, it's just unreal. Like, United wanted him. United fans wanted him. They wanted him to come to Manchester. And he had a slow start, of course, because he obviously, when we bought him, he wasn't there for pre-season and not there for the first 3 games. But, I mean, he had a slow start, which it isn't a surprise because it isn't easy coming from another league to the Premier League. But then after that, I feel like towards mid-season and the end of the season, he was amazing. He was great. So I don't understand this hate Ugarte gets. I mean, the amount of clowns we have in our fan base is just a joke. I mean, it needs to be studied. But I felt I had a great performance. If I had to rate him, I'd say an 8. Same with Dorgu. Dorgu had a great game. I mean, I felt like especially in the first 10 minutes where he was just absolutely attacking on that left-hand side, troubling Todibo, almost got penalty shouts, and yeah, obviously a threat. It's almost like he's a more of a winger than he is more of a wing-back, if you understand what I mean. Like, when you see Ahmad on the other side, that's what you expect from Ahmad, what Dorgu's doing, but it's almost like Dorgu's a winger, but amazing from him. And don't forget as well, not only Ugarte, he got criticism as well. And people, including myself, said he was man of the match in the final, but I mean, he's 20 years old. He's a work in progress, he's a learner driver. Coming to United, which was at the time Amrin's only player that he signed, and Amrin relied on him so much. Probably, I mean, he's our main wing back, and then obviously Leon behind. What he brings on that left hand side, that's what Amrin wants from his wing back. And obviously, hopefully, I'm not saying, it depends on Dorgu. It always depends on the player. You never know. There could be one moment he could be potential to be the best wing back or one of the best wing backs in Europe. Or there could be a time where, he's declining and United sell him off. You never know. But that depends on the player. But I really like from Dorgu, and hopefully he's a key asset for us for this season as well. So, yeah, great performance. But obviously Bruno scoring 2. I mean, look, I know he scored 2, and I know it's great. Obviously one from the spot, and obviously a great goal. But I mean, obviously Areola was shit. I mean, I don't know how he gave the first goal away. I mean, fumbled it from his hands and obviously gives away a penalty. And then obviously Bruno, I mean, he doesn't really put power into it. If you know, he just places it in and no power. He doesn't lace it through on his boots, and he just finds the target and that's it. So it was great from Bruno, but what really annoyed me in the first half was that him not doing basic things like doing first touches, like putting passes like that, giving the ball away. This is what Amrin meant about you can't press for 90 minutes. It's impossible. Or maybe 1 or 2 teams can do it. Who knows? But He can't do it. You can't press for 90 minutes. It's impossible, you know. And we keep giving the ball away, giving so many turnovers. And look, the goal from West Ham, it did came from a turnover. Why? Because we can't keep the ball well. We don't look after the ball. That's why where you see us trying to go for the ball and we're so tired. Why is that? Because we keep pressing a lot. Why do we press a lot? Is because we don't look after the ball and we give it away. So that's why when Amrin said, I believe it was in his first interview, we should learn how to take care of the ball. But United are not doing that, you know. And you see Bruno not doing simple passes, doing one-touch passes, and just giving it away easily. It's just like you win the ball back, and then you just give it away in the next minute. Like, what's the point? You know, it's not easy to press because, you know, you're moving around a lot, getting the ball back, and United just waste the opportunity by regaining possession. It's unreal. But look, he scored 2 goals. It's great. You know, it's classic Bruno. But look, what I'm happy is that he's playing in the 10. But the only problem is, where does that leave Mboma? I mean, you can't bench him. You know, and you certainly can't bench Bruno. And this is where it comes to. Because apparently rumours are that if United don't get a striker, the front three could be Bruno and Mboma and Cunha up front. And look, on paper it looks great. But it's about what it looks like on the pitch. And it doesn't seem well because I feel like Cunha is more of a 10 than he is a 9. And Mboma, well, he is going to play in the 10. I don't think he is a number 9. And Bruno is a 10, but this is where the problem is. Bruno isn't an 8, but Amrin will play him because he's signing Mboma and he ain't gonna put Mboma on the bench. So, you know, that's where the question lies, because we just saw Ugarte and Mainu, which is our best double pivot, which I believe, and they worked well. I feel like this midfield could work, but that's the question. Is he gonna keep Mainu in that midfield? I don't think so, because, you know, he's not gonna bench Bruno, you know, and he's certainly not going to put, you know, I don't know, would he put Cunha up front? It seems unlikely, but I wouldn't be surprised, because if we don't get a striker, or if he doesn't put Rasmus up front, then he will do that. So, you know, but overall, it was a great, game, obviously, got the win, and obviously, it was better than, obviously, that dog shit we saw against Leeds. So, yeah. But, you know, we won, and that's all that matters. But, you know, it's about performance and seeing how Amrin's system works. So, yeah. And, yeah, so let's get on to the show here. Just trying to see if there's any news. Yeah, we know about that from the Euros, England winning. Trying to see if there's any news. Oh wow, João Felix is going to Al Nassr. So yeah, that is true. So yeah, as I was saying, yeah, SESKO wants United. So yeah, look, obviously, I don't know how reliable this source is, but it's coming out from... Sorry. Apparently, SESKO prefers Manchester United over Newcastle. Now, as you all know, Newcastle are looking for a striker, mainly because of they couldn't get Ekitike because Liverpool got to them. And Isak wants to leave. And this is where you think, who would they go for? And obviously... Newcastle in the same race as United for SESKO. But obviously positive is that SESKO prefers United over Newcastle. Now, look, it's obviously positive, but the question is, can we get this deal done? Because he's not going to be cheap, he's going to be expensive, and I'm pretty sure if Newcastle sold Isak, then I'm pretty sure they'll get that deal easily done. But it's about obviously, look, we took 2 months with Mboma. Who knows how long we'll do with SESKO, you know, we might not even get him for the Arsenal game. which is worrying. You know, I hope we get at least a striker for the opening day, at least, you know. But it seems unlikely because of how long we take on players. But, you know, look, obviously it's positive, but it's about what Newcastle do. What if Newcastle hijack this deal and then we see SESKO in a Newcastle shirt and it's like, oh shit, who do we go for now? You know? Look, Ollie Watkins is still on the table, but 60 million for someone who's, look, he's Premier League proven, but age-wise, SESKO has potential to be one of the best strikers in Europe, and I don't see why not. And you never know. I'm not saying everyone can be a Haaland. I'm not saying everyone can be an Mbappe. But when Haaland came from the Premier League to all the way from Bundesliga, he made an impact. Now, I'm not saying SESKO could do that, but he potentially could, because people are technically comparing him to Haaland, like potential-wise, but you know, you kind of see it the way they play. I think he's obviously more mobile than Haaland, but who knows? If SESKO will make an impact straight away, that is the question. But if you're looking at strikers that we have available, SESKO's our best option, and obviously it's positive. It's like almost icing on the cake to have a player agreement towards clubs. Now, the only problem is we need to put a bid in and do all the personal agreements or whatever, and that's it. But knowing how United do business and do negotiations is going to take a while. So, look, it is obviously positive news, but seeing this from SESKO saying he wants United over Newcastle, despite Newcastle looking at SESKO, you know, I feel that that's important. Player agreement. It's the same with Arsenal. It's the same with Ugarte. You know, he wanted Arsenal over United, fair enough, because of Champions League football. That's what's important. Otherwise, if it was United he picked, then he come to us. Now, not saying because it's a player agreement between the clubs, that doesn't mean Newcastle can't hijack it. And if they do put a bid in, then SESKO might join Newcastle just like that. You never know, like, because you think he's gonna wait for United to put a bid in, and normally how they do business, it's a while. So, you know, you never know. Maybe you might see him say, "I want United," but you never know. Maybe tomorrow he might say, "I might like Newcastle as well." So, who knows? But it's good news, but it isn't like we're pursuing negotiations. So I don't know how long that would take. We'll probably look at till next week to see if they do advanced negotiations. So yeah. Also Anthony bid from Saudi. I even commented this as well. Apparently Al Nassr are looking at him. They just signed João Felix, but look, if Al Nassr will get him, that's great. But it's the question about, does he want to go Saudi? You know, because they'll cover his wages, unlike Real Betis. But the question is about, does he want to go Saudi? That is the question. But no, I even said this as well. If Al Nassr are going for Anthony, then they might as well go with Casemiro, because he's going to be free next year, and I know someone else will go for him, and then they'll be easy happy to say, "Oh, we got Casemiro." And I know people are going to say, "Oh, but why would we sell Casemiro?" Now, the question is, people are only saying that because of what he did at the latter stages of the season. But if he had such a great last season, well, later on season, then why has no club gone for him? Not even a Saudi team has even bidded for him. You know, so if he's that great, why is he not? Why is no club going for him? So that is pretty funny, but you know, because it's amazing, because people are criticizing him, but because he did what he did in Europa League. And look, I've said this before. Great, what he did in the European competitions, but this is what we expected from Casemiro. We've seen this in his first season. You know, he was capable of it. My question is, where was that Casemiro all along? What, did he decide to turn up whenever he wanted to? Because if that's the case, then what type of player are you? Turning up whenever you want to. You know, so... Look, and if anybody says, oh, but he was trying to fit into the system, that's bullshit. He was 10 on signing, had a brilliant first season. Then he went to the second season, was absolute dog shit. And then when third season, you could probably say impacted Ten Hag sacking. And then you're telling me, oh, he's developing to a new system, new formation. That's why he's playing shit. And then once we're against Lyon and Athletic Club, he plays well. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So, you know, I mean, look, he doesn't fit the system because of his age, his legs, and, you know, he doesn't seem like... You want someone who's young and hungry, and he isn't that player anymore. You know, he's slow. And look, he'd be amazing for Saudi because of the league itself. It's not as competitive with the Premier League, and there's obviously it obviously fits with him because you've seen him with Real Madrid. He was always that sitting midfielder, but then when he was at United, he was more than that. You know, but obviously he can't do any of those stuff because maybe it's look, I don't hate Casemiro, but it's very unlikely we're gonna renew his contract because him on huge wages and obviously what do you call it, he's gonna be a free agent next year, so you might as well take as much money as you can, you know. And look, hopefully with him going, if it does happen, we might get a midfielder. Look, maybe the Antony bid, if we do get one from Saudi, then obviously is great. Because, look, we could use that money for SESKO. But, you know, look, if we're at it, we might as well sell Casemiro. But then that means we have to get a new midfielder. And look, again, with United doing negotiation, it will take long. So, you know, but obviously no official bid has come through. But Saudi interested with Antony, so the question is, does he want to go? That's the important thing. So yeah, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Wow, it's very long. But yeah, I mean, not a busy day of news for United, but you know, obviously we know they're going for a striker. Who could go out between Garnacho, Antony, and Sancho. Rashford's gone. So yeah, I mean, like, it's probably been not probably the busiest of weeks, probably a dead week in terms of how United. I mean, to be honest, what was so busy on this week was that was just mainly pre-season. You know, that was about it. Otherwise, no transfer stuff for United. Very quiet on that. But yeah. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Take care. See you on the next one.